5 lies about beauty standards you've been told all your life. Let's be real, beauty standards are everywhere. It's in the ads you see every day, the influencers you follow, the magazines, TV shows, and even the way people around you talk about appearance. You've been told, subtly or explicitly, how you should look, how you should dress, and what beautiful really means. But here's the thing, most of what you've been told about beauty is a lie that's rooted in manipulation, control, and an ever-rotating cycle of consumerism. So, let's break it down. Let's expose these falsehoods and dive deep into what's really going on. The first lie: beauty is objective. Society would have you believe that there's a universal standard for beauty, that there's some perfect face or body type that we should all be aiming for. But here's the truth: beauty is not objective, it never has been. What's considered beautiful changes drastically across cultures, time periods, and individual preferences. Just think about it. In some parts of the world, certain body shapes that are praised today would have been mocked centuries ago. And even now, trends shift so quickly that what's in this year is out the next. Why? Because beauty standards are constantly being constructed by the media, fashion industries, and advertising companies, all designed to keep you buying, to keep you insecure. But ask yourself, why do we chase these standards if they're always changing? Why do we let ourselves be guided by something so unstable? There's something deeper at play here, isn't there? It's not really about beauty, it's about control. Society, through these ever-shifting standards, is constantly telling you that you are not enough as you are. It's a powerful form of manipulation because it keeps you hooked into the cycle of buying more products, changing more aspects of yourself, all in the hope that you'll someday reach this elusive idea of perfection. Now let's move to the second lie: beauty equals worth. This one is dangerous because it's not just about how you look, it's about how you feel about yourself. We've been conditioned to believe that the more beautiful you are according to society's standards, the more valuable you are as a person. But let's pause here. Is your value really determined by your appearance? Think about all the people you admire, the ones who have made a real difference in the world. Do you remember them for how they looked, or for what they did, who they were, and how they made you feel?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The truth is, beauty is superficial. It's skin deep in the most literal sense. Your worth, your value as a human being, comes from so much more than your outward appearance. It's in your thoughts, your actions, your kindness, your intelligence, and your creativity. But society has cleverly tied beauty to worth because it's easier to control people who believe they need to change themselves to be worthy. If you're constantly chasing an external measure of validation, you're less likely to focus on the things that really matter, like personal development, intellectual growth, and emotional well-being. The third lie: you need to fix yourself to be beautiful. How many times have you heard that you need to change something about yourself to meet beauty standards? Whether it's through makeup, surgery, weight loss, or some other transformation, the message is clear: you're not good enough as you are. But here's the revelation: you don't need to be fixed because you're not broken. The beauty industry thrives on convincing you that there's always something wrong with you, something that needs to be improved. But what if you let go of that idea? What if you embrace the parts of yourself that society tells you to hide, mask, or change? Ask yourself, who profits from your insecurity? Because that's what's really happening here. Industries profit from the idea that you need to constantly improve yourself just to be acceptable. The more insecure you feel, the more products you'll buy, the more procedures you'll undergo, and the more you'll stay locked in this endless cycle of self-modification. But what if you saw your flaws as part of what makes you unique? What if, instead of changing yourself, you accepted that true beauty comes from embracing who you are, flaws and all? Now, let's talk about the fourth lie. Beauty is youth. We live in a culture that worships youth. From anti-aging creams to cosmetic surgery, the message is clear: aging is bad, and the younger you look, the better. But here's the philosophical truth: aging is not the enemy, it's inevitable, and it's beautiful. You see, every wrinkle, every line tells a story. It's a map of the life you've lived, the experiences you've had, and the wisdom you've gained. But society pushes this idea that to be beautiful, you must stay youthful forever. This lie creates a fear of aging, a fear of time itself, which is completely unnatural. Think about this. Why are we so afraid of our bodies changing when change is the most natural thing in the world? Why do we equate beauty with being frozen in time? It's because we've been sold a lie that we must fight against the natural process of aging. But the truth is, every stage of life has its own beauty. Wisdom, experience, and confidence are some of the most powerful aspects of aging, yet they're often ignored because they don't fit into the narrow definition of beauty that society promotes. Beauty is an energy, not an image, so let's keep going. We've already talked about how beauty standards are constantly shifting, how they tie your value to your appearance, and how they convince you that you need to be fixed or remain forever youthful. But now it's time for the fifth and final lie. Beauty is about how you look, not about how you live. This is one of the most subtle, yet most destructive lies out there. It's the idea that beauty is only skin deep, that it's something purely visual, confined to the surface. We've been taught to think of beauty as something that exists only in how our bodies look, in the symmetry of our faces, or in the perfection of our features. But here's the deeper truth: real beauty is about how you live, not just how you look. It's about the energy you bring into a room, the way you make others feel, and the authenticity with which you show up in the world. The philosopher Socrates once said, "Beauty is a short-lived tyranny," and he's right. If your idea of beauty is confined to your physical appearance, then it's fleeting. It's bound to decay, to change, and to fade over time. But if you redefine beauty as something that comes from within, as something connected to your actions, your character, and your essence, then beauty becomes timeless. It stops being something you chase and starts being something you are. Let me ask you something. What would happen if you stopped focusing so much on how you look and started focusing on how you live? How would your life change if, instead of spending hours worrying about your appearance, you spent that time cultivating your mind, your relationships, your purpose? The truth is, beauty is an energy. It's the way you carry yourself, the way you treat others, the way you express yourself authentically. When you're living in alignment with your values, when you're pursuing your passions, when you're kind to yourself and others, you naturally radiate a kind of beauty that no makeup or surgery can ever replicate. Think about the people who have left a lasting impact on you. Was it because of how they looked? Or was it because of who they were and how they made you feel? Real beauty is about connection. It's about the way your presence can uplift, inspire, and comfort others. It's about the way you express your gratitude, your love, your empathy, and none of that shows up in a mirror. Here's the philosophical crux of this lie: by focusing entirely on external beauty, we miss out on experiencing the deeper beauty of life itself. We become so obsessed with appearances that we forget to nurture our inner world. We forget to cultivate our minds, our spirits, our hearts. And in doing so, we lose the essence of what it means to be truly beautiful. So let's flip the script. What if we started to value inner beauty as much, if not more, than outer beauty? What if we started to see beauty in the way someone listens attentively, in the way they laugh, in the passion they have for life, in their kindness and generosity? What if we redefine beauty in terms of character, integrity, and wisdom instead of bone structure or body size? The problem with the external beauty narrative is that it's designed to make you feel less than it's built on the idea that you're always lacking something, that you need to buy this product, lose that weight, fix this flaw, or smooth out that wrinkle in order to be beautiful. But inner beauty? That's abundant. There's no shortage of it. You don't need to purchase it, and you don't need anyone's approval to have it. It's something you cultivate, something you grow from within. Let me ask you, what kind of beauty do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be remembered for how you looked in a certain moment in time? Or do you want to be remembered for the way you lived your life, the way you treated others, the impact you left on the world? Because here's the thing, outer beauty fades, but the impression you leave on people's hearts lasts forever. And this brings us to the ultimate philosophical realization: true beauty is not a destination, it's a way of being. It's not something you achieve by meeting a societal standard, it's something you embody by living in alignment with your values, by being kind, by pursuing your passions, and by being unapologetically yourself. The lies we've been told about beauty are designed to keep us trapped in a cycle of insecurity and consumption. But once you recognize that beauty has nothing to do with the external and everything to do with how you live, you're free. Free from the pressure to conform, free from the need for validation, free to define beauty on your own terms. So the next time you look in the mirror and feel like you don't measure up to some arbitrary standard, remember, this beauty isn't something you see, it's something you feel, something you live, something you live, something you are. And that kind of beauty, it never fades. The freedom in rejecting beauty standards, now that we've uncovered how beauty is more about how you live than how you look, let's talk about what happens when you reject these societal beauty standards altogether. What if, instead of chasing an image of beauty that's been imposed on you, you decided to free yourself from that narrative entirely? What would your life look like if you stopped letting external standards define your self-worth? Rejecting beauty standards isn't just an act of rebellion, it's an act of liberation. It's like stepping out of a cage that you never realized you were trapped in. Society's beauty standards are narrow, rigid, and designed to keep you feeling inadequate. They're built on comparison, on creating a hierarchy of appearance that makes some people feel superior and others feel lacking. But here's the truth: beauty standards are not real. They are social constructs, ideas that have been agreed upon by society but have no basis in universal truth. When you reject these standards, you reclaim your autonomy. You start living for yourself, not for the approval of others. You begin to realize that your worth is not tied to how closely you match a fleeting ideal. And this is where real confidence is born. Think about it: when you stop chasing an external benchmark of beauty, you're no longer at the mercy of societal judgment. You're freed from the constant pressure to measure up, to conform, to fit into a mold that was never designed with your unique self in mind. Ask yourself this: what would happen if you no longer gave power to society's expectations of how you should look? How much mental energy would you free up? How much more time and space would you have for things that actually matter, like your passions, your relationships, your personal growth? The truth is, so much of our energy is wasted on trying to meet these impossible standards. But when you reject them, you get to redirect that energy toward things that bring you fulfillment and joy. Rejecting beauty standards also involves a radical shift in how you see yourself. It's about learning to embrace your body, your face, your natural self exactly as it is. It's about finding beauty in your imperfections, in your uniqueness, in the parts of you that society might tell you to hide. When you stop trying to fit into a narrow definition of beauty, you start to see yourself through a different lens, a lens of self-acceptance and self-compassion. But let's go deeper. Why do we even allow external standards to dictate our self-worth in the first place? It's because we've been conditioned to seek validation from others. We've been taught that our value is something that's given to us from the outside, rather than something that's cultivated from within. But the truth is, self-worth isn't something you earn by meeting a standard. It's something you already have simply by being human. When you reject these external standards, you start to reconnect with your inherent worth. You realize that you don't need anyone's approval to feel good about yourself. And here's the most powerful part: when you free yourself from beauty standards, you also give others permission to do the same. You become a living example of what it means to be unapologetically yourself. You show others that it's possible to live a life that's not ruled by comparison or judgment, but by self-love and authenticity. And that kind of freedom, it's contagious. It spreads. So what would happen if we all rejected the beauty standards that have been imposed on us? What kind of world would we create if we stopped measuring our worth by our appearance and started living from a place of inner confidence? The freedom that comes from rejecting these standards isn't just personal, it's revolutionary. The revolution of redefining beauty now, let's bring it all together. We've exposed the lies about beauty standards, recognized the powerful freedom that comes from rejecting them, and explored how this shift can transform not just your life, but the lives of others around you. But here's where we take it one step further. What if we didn't just reject beauty standards? What if we redefined them entirely? Think about it. What if beauty wasn't something exclusive, something only a few people could possess based on arbitrary criteria? What if beauty was something we all have, in unique forms, simply by existing? What if beauty was about character, kindness, creativity, and resilience? What if beauty wasn't even something that could be seen, but something that was felt, an energy, a presence, a way of moving through the world? By redefining beauty on these terms, we shift the narrative from one of comparison and competition to one of inclusion and empowerment. When beauty becomes about who you are, how you treat others, and how you express your truest self, it becomes something that's available to everyone. It's no longer a source of insecurity or shame, it's a source of pride and confidence. This isn't just a personal transformation, it's a revolution, because when we redefine beauty, we challenge the entire system that profits off of our insecurities. We stop feeding into industries that tell us we need to change ourselves in order to be loved, valued, or accepted. We start living in a way that celebrates diversity, individuality, and authenticity. We create a new paradigm, one where beauty is expansive, not restrictive. Ask yourself what would happen if you started seeing beauty in every person you met, including yourself. How would your relationships change if you stopped judging others or yourself based on appearance and instead valued the depth of their character, the uniqueness of their spirit, and the richness of their experiences? What kind of world could we create if we all embraced this new definition of beauty? Here's the truth: we are the ones who decide what beauty is. Society doesn't get to define that for us. You don't have to live by anyone else's standards. You are free to create your own definition of beauty, one that empowers you, lifts you up, and makes you feel whole. And when you do, you'll realize that beauty was never something you had to chase, it was something that was within you all along. So let's start the revolution. Let's redefine beauty, not as something we strive for, but as something we already are.